去，把门关上，老爷子这样会吓着小小的。也不知道老家哪来的这些规矩，人死了不直接下葬，还得在灵堂过头七。
A very beautiful and emotive piece that was sort of a rumination on family, death, childhood memories. And I thought that the stylistic approach and the animation approach really contributed to matching the themes and creating an experience that was interesting in a lot of different kind of ways. I thought there was an in between sequence about how the lead character always had issues with men, paternal figures in general, and I thought there was a mixing of styles there and aesthetics that really made the piece quite interesting. And I thought that ultimately the ideas of childhood and sort of feeling a connection to someone who you don't really know that well and don't have the capacity to have the perspective at that time, but is connected to a very obviously eternal and inevitable experience of death for all people. I thought really created a piece that was quite soulful and empathetic, and really ended up creating a very spiritual feeling that I thought came through quite well. So I thought it was well done. There was a great matching with the music, the animation, and the voice acting, and ultimately I think it created a memorable and impactful piece that was easy to get into and to easy to have an emotional resonance with. So I enjoyed the piece and thought it was well done.
I think the animation style was amazing. The way that the people were portrayed versus the watercolor background, I thought was really striking and did a great job of elevating the story. The composition was fantastic. It was both emotional, but it didn't draw away from the story. It complemented it in a really beautiful way. And I think the storytelling, the ways in which the creator chose to break up each family member into their own separate act, I think was really smart. So that it's like a series almost of like familial vignettes that build to a really satisfying end. I also loved the portrayal of animals and the use of the animation. I feel like they really took advantage of the animation style to create these really dynamic images as a representation of her family members. When her paternal grandfather and her mother are fighting, and you see the bull and the ram going at it, I thought that was really powerful imagery that really stuck with me. And from the very beginning image, which is also very arresting as it's coming into focus, and into the end where you see that it's not the protagonist but the child, I thought that was really powerful, excellent symmetry, and gives really poignant insight into the ways in which this family tree has informed this protagonist and the way that they look at family, particularly the men in their family. I also love the shift from animation to print. There's like this really great shift toward the beginning of the first act, where we sort of leave animation and we see all these different photographs, which was unexpected but felt really relevant, and was a really seamless addition to the film.
I think that you did a really wonderful job of sort of capturing I guess the hazy quality of memories, from childhood that children don't necessarily understand in the moment. And I think you did a really nice job of, I guess, presenting the memory as like in a way that really illustrates how it like affected your main character, despite the fact that she wasn't, fully aware of what was happening, in the moment of her grandfather's death, being a baby. I liked the way that you sort of traced generationally how these figures sort of impacted your main character, and how her grandparents all uh, shaped her life in ways both good and bad. I really did like the way that you sort of juxtaposed the two grandfathers' smoking habits as a way of sort of comparing and contrasting how they, treated the people in their lives.
I think it was so well drawn. and it was really visually engaging, which I appreciated. I also really liked how there was a focus on each family member. I think that that made the story all the more interesting, kind of hearing about these different perspectives and how they kind of came together. I also think the ending of having this baby that's crying really left it kind of open ended, and I was kind of questioning where the story was going to go, which I think just speaks to the entire short film, and the title itself kind of asks that same question of, this is what they left behind.
I thought this was interesting because it felt a little all over the place, but so do our memories, right? I think I can relate to this being a woman, a girl, growing up with a lot of male relatives and the grandparents, the great grandparents. And I just thought it was an interesting expression of those memories of these males in her life. I don't know why she felt the need to put this into an expression. I was curious about that. But I did like it overall, and I thought the sound effects were really good. The music was good, just to go along, carry the story along. I liked the animation as well to present, the images of what she was feeling and expressing. I think she felt like these men in her life were sort of harsh, at some points in her life, but that the memories actually were good memories. So that's kind of what I took from it, because I can kind of relate, again, like I said, being young and having these, sort of these past generations of men coming across very harsh, but having a warm and fuzzy on the inside, and kind of maybe realizing maybe later in life, the difference in, what's presented on the outside as opposed to what's on the inside, maybe even. It was just different. It was unique. I liked it. I thought it was really good animation, and some of the things were kind of all over the place, but I felt like maybe that was the purpose, because that's how our memories can be.
Very fascinating. And again, I just want to emphasize that the art style was absolutely beautiful. It was very smooth and it was very fluid. But it definitely makes you think a lot about death. What is our legacy? Because in life, we have control over our actions. But in death, the only thing that remains is that impact of our actions. What has every action we've done up until this point left us with? What will people say about us when we're gone? At the end of the day, that is the last thing that you leave, that impact you've left on the world. And it was very insightful to see the tales of each grandparent and the impact and what legacy they had left behind.
Family history and the character personalities in a really neat way using animation. There is definitely a sense of sadness, but it's a sense of honoring the past and past family members, even amongst the sadness. And at the end of it, you're left with a feeling of deep love for all the family members. So I think it's really great that the animation was able to navigate through those different feelings and emotions and stories, almost like someone sharing their experiences from their family over coffee. So I think that was really great the way it did that.